Hi, good morning. Rob Brown here with the executive producer, Brendan Martin, down in Ocala, where it's warmer than it is in Memphis. It is burning cold.
No, 33 degrees in Ocala this morning, my friend.
Wow.
33 degrees this morning. Yes.
That is cold. And it's National Signing Day today, folks. Hey, we got a great show. Jordan Hill, 24/7 Sports, covers Georgia like nobody else up in the Classic City. Oakley McFerrin, one of the interns, going to join us from down on the plains. Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net up in Fayetteville. Vince Ferrara on the Hill in Knoxville. Hey, tap that subscribe button. Take your cellular phone, hit the QR code, be a subscriber to SEC Sideline Sports Network, and also watch that Buddy Martin show, man, Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Guys, let's go ahead and get started. I know Jordan has got a busy day, as does Oakley and everybody on this show, so let's get started. Jordan, it is National Signing Day. Georgia just keeps bringing in great talent. What do you expect to happen? What are the early returns right now from the early voting precincts?
Yeah, I sort of feel like Adam Schefter. I don't get that feeling a lot. Just checking the phone, and Georgia just signed its 10th player of the morning, and maybe their most talented to date, 5-star linebacker Zayden Walker. They're off to a really good start. I think they've signed 4 offensive linemen of the 10 that have signed so far. Biggest news for Georgia today so far, they're going to hold on to Ryan Montgomery, a 4-star quarterback. Brendan's Florida Gators, they were trying hard to flip Ryan Montgomery, and they had been in on Ryan Montgomery back when he originally committed to Georgia, but he's told Dogs 24/7 he's sticking with the Dogs, and I think he signs this afternoon, so they're going to hold on to their quarterback.
Justice Terry, the big guy, that's the first guy you want coming off the bus. He's got to be in his mid-20s. I mean, has he signed yet with Georgia, or where's he going?
So he is going to ride this thing out until Friday. You know, with this early signing period, most kids go ahead and sign on Wednesday. He's going to wait till Friday. I think, get the full attention of everybody. From what we know right now, I expect him to sign with Georgia, but it's not a done deal, Rob. I'm sure that the other schools, Auburn, Texas, are going to continue pushing, trying to get him to not flip, but change his mind and pick them. But I like where Georgia stands right now. But I will be watching just like everybody else by the time he announces on Friday.
Well, Brendan told me that Larry Ellison had a hotel room in Manchester, Georgia, and his wife.
He did. He absolutely did. He did. He was with Trevor Etienne.
Holy cow. Jordan, all right, so now you got the SEC championship game coming up on Saturday in Atlanta. Was down there the last 9 days, just got back. Georgia's probably going to have 70-80% of that crowd. I look for Georgia to lay the wood to Texas again. I know Texas just beat A&M. I wasn't surprised at all about that. Let's talk about this rematch. In previous 7 rematches, regular season, and then again for the SEC championship, the team that won the first time is 5-2 in the rematch.
I mean, I think it's going to be a real test. And I'll be honest, Rob, I'm not as confident as you are when it comes to Georgia in this game. And it's more so because of injuries. You know, they had Trevor Etienne for that game back in October. I don't anticipate he's going to play. I think he's going to give it everything he has to try to play. But the receivers have not been playing well in recent games, struggling with separation. Defensive tackle Christian Miller is probably not going to play either. He's their run stuffer. Texas is running the ball incredibly well right now. I think Georgia's got a shot, but I think this is going to be a 4-quarter game, Rob. I think that Texas is going to throw everything it has at Georgia, and Georgia's going to have to play one of their best games of the year to have a chance to win.
Yeah, Oakley, you're down there, at Auburn, one of our interns, Jordan. And, I'll tell you one thing right now, Jordan Hill, Oakley, watch what Jordan does. You need to start following him and keep up with him on Twitter, X, whatever it is. He's putting out content nonstop. But I know you got a question or two about Georgia in this rematch with Texas, so go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, I think I'd be confident in Georgia because line of scrimmage was dominated by Georgia at Texas last game. I think that Texas had 1.1 yards per carry, and Georgia had 7 sacks. That doesn't change.
Yeah,
so I think Georgia wins this game by double digits.
Whoa! Jordan, Look, you're there every day. What's different about Georgia compared to what they were, 5 weeks ago and today? Are they better or are they the same?
I think they're kind of, it sort of depends on what aspect of this team. Better, I'd say, is Carson Beck. And I actually talked to Carson on Monday about this and said, what did you learn from that Texas game the first time around? And he said that I don't have to force the football. I can live to fight another down. He threw 3 interceptions in that game. 2 weeks later against Florida, he threw 3 interceptions in that game. And I think that was kind of a wake-up call of like, hey, I'm pressing a little. I'm trying to do too much. Hey, let's just live to fight another day. And I think the thing that was most frustrating, Kirby talked about this at one point, a lot of his interceptions were coming on first downs. It wasn't a situation where it's like, I got to get this to move the chains or we're punting, which you shouldn't even do it then, but you certainly shouldn't do it on first down. I think that's the biggest thing. And then, the thing that really I'm curious about is how this defense shows up. I think the Texas game was the best this defense has played all year.
Yeah.
That the Georgia defense played all year, but it's just been so sporadic. Didn't play great probably the first 2.5 quarters against Georgia Tech. Really struggled against UMass, especially stopping the run. The fact that Texas is running the ball as well as it is and the way Georgia has struggled on that front, that's what gives me pause from saying Georgia's going to blow this thing out. I think Wisner is playing really well for Texas, running hard. Georgia's going to have a real test on its hands.
That first matchup, Oakley, wasn't it? I think Georgia held Texas to 2 of 15 on third down conversions. We talk about the rematch, Oakley, and I know you love the NFL. You were born pulling for the Steelers. But if you're Texas, what are you going to try to do different? And if you're Georgia, what are you expecting? It's going to be a great game. This is two superpowers.
If you're Texas, you got to establish some sort of run game. You're not going to win any game rushing for 1 yard per carry. But if they could get that number up to like 3.5-ish, and with their passing game, I think like Carson Beck's improved, I think Quinn Ewers is also much improved. And if he can hit his guys, they have much better playmakers on the perimeter than Georgia does. So, if you could get a respectable run game going and air the ball out, I think that's their key to victory.
Yeah. You go, Jordan.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to me is that Quinn Ewers, I think, is significantly healthier than he was in mid-October. He had gotten hurt. He had missed some time. Arch Manning had played in his place. Quinn came back the week before Georgia against Oklahoma. And, talking to the people on the Texas beat, they were like, you could tell he's still not 100%. I didn't think he played all that great against Georgia. So I will be fascinated to see if he does play better, if the health piece of it was as big of a crutch and as big of an issue as it was the first time around. Because, I give the advantage for Texas when it comes to the wide receivers. Georgia's receivers are not playing well right now. FBS leading 36 drops. They're just, they're not playing well right now. And it gives me pause to say that they're going to just magically turn it on because there's an SEC title on the line.
Jordan, that's an interesting stat. I saw last week during the Iron Bowl, Ryan Williams, the great receiver out of Saraland, had 8 drops, which is like the most in the SEC. Georgia as a team had 32 so far this year.
They're up to, I think it depends on where you get the stat, because I know Pro Football Focus and Info Sports Solutions has different. Info Sports Solutions has it at 36, which is significant.
Yeah. There you go. All right, Jordan, you look at Carson Beck. He came into the preseason. A lot of people thought he was going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. You don't have Ladd McConkey. You don't have Brock Bowers. And those were safety valves. And Brock Bowers is just crushing it in the NFL. And you had a chance to talk to him. What a leader. Retroactively, let's give him the damn Heisman Trophy. He's that good, out of Napa, California. Texas's defensive line versus Georgia's defensive line. Who's got the strength there?
I think it's going to be a fight, and what I think is going to help Georgia is the fact that Tate Ratledge is back. I kind of forgot about that when we talked to him on, I guess that would have been Tuesday night, the signing day week, Rob. I couldn't tell you what day it is at this point. But,
I know.
But but he didn't play in that first game, and the offensive line played really well in spite of not having him. So, I'll be fascinated to see if Georgia, if they protect Carson Beck, that bodes really well for Georgia's chances. But again, they have to find a semblance of a run game. That I don't think they're going to have Trevor Etienne, and even if Trevor plays, he's going to be far from 100%. He's dealing with a rib injury, and I mean, just think about the pain tolerance, Rob, you got to have to play with a rib injury. They know you got a rib injury. I'm not saying that they're going to come after you and try to hit you there, but that's going to be painful if he does play, which puts the onus on guys like Nate Frazier, some of those other running backs.
Pretty cool little bit of trivia here, Jordan, about this guy Oakley over here. He went to MBA up in Nashville. You know who his high school quarterback was? Tell him, Oakley.
Marcel Reed.
Yeah, I don't know, Oakley, if you know Palmer Toms over there at Dogs HQ. He's an MBA grad too, so we talk about Marcel Reed quite a bit.
I spoke to him the other day. He came for career day last year.
Right.
So I spoke to him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is amazing. I mean, just watching these guys in the first year as a redshirt freshman, he is impressed. He's scary when he takes off and runs. All right, Jordan, I know that you are busier than a one-legged man in a kick fight today. So before you go, by the way, when we were over in Atlanta last week, we had 3 feasts for Thanksgiving in the 9 days. And the one Saturday was our son-in-law. His whole family, they're from East Tennessee, around southeast Tennessee, all Tennessee fans. It was just like you talked about your family. That column that you wrote was dead on. And I tell you, Jordan, he's got his family is Tennessee, Georgia, all over the place. But leave us with this bit of stuff, Jordan. How do people keep up with you today? Because I'm going to let you go because I know you're slammed because we got a little bit of a late start. You're putting out content up to the minute. So let them know that, and we'll do it again next week.
Appreciate that, Rob. Dogs247.com. We got a live updates for signing day on Twitter at Jordan Davis Hill, on Twitter at Dogs247. Stay glued. Hey, our YouTube, 4 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to have probably about 8, 9, 10 of these signees pop on, say hello, talk a little bit about what they're going to be doing as the Bulldogs. I'm excited to see those guys. I did want to say RS Sports asked about Branson Robinson. I think he's more likely to play on Saturday than Trevor Etienne. He's been working his way back from him in the MCL strain. But appreciate you guys having me on. I'm sure it's going to be a big show, and excited to see you guys.
Hey, look, next week when you're on, we're going to talk some basketball because I know Mike White's doing something, and you cover it. But love having you on. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
All right. See you guys.
All right. You bet. Got Buddy Martin on here. Brendan, this is Brendan's dad, Oakley, and he has been sports editor of the New York Daily News, the Denver Post. One of the coolest. Love this guy. He's my mentor for writing. Him and Mark Murphy have helped me. And Buddy, bottom line is they've had some of the best interns in the business. But Buddy, say hello to Oakley. He and William Halliday both help us intern on this show. And this kid loves college football, and he's a Steelers junkie. He goes to Steelers games every year.
Oakley, good morning to you. And I'm just rolling in just now from down in Central Florida up here. I don't think you can see this. This is the bay outside, beautiful bay.
There we go.
There you go.
Panama City.
Nice.
Yeah. So, Oakley, I hate to be producer because the producer will kill me if I say this. Maybe if you can move a little closer to your microphone, I can hear you a little better.
Turn up your volume if you can. Yeah.
Or you can move closer to your mic. It'd be good. Good-looking young man here. Get him straight away. He's going for good stuff. Hey, Rob, how my gosh things have changed in Denmark. Oh, my word.
Yep.
Auburn and on the plains and in Hogtown and Gainesville and other places, but those 2 particular places these last 2 weeks have been phenomenal. I'm seeing it explode all over. I don't follow recruiting, but how can you not get involved with the flipperooski going on? My goodness gracious. Florida flipped 11 guys in 15 days, all 3, 4, 5 stars.
Yeah.
And they're just pouring through those chutes in Gainesville. I'm sure others are having success, but if you just pardon me, there's my hat tells it all. The fact remains that if you criticize Billy Napier, say you're sorry right now, okay? Because those of us who said, and I was one of them, because I did say he needs to go, he's a dead man walking. as 99% of us felt. Luckily, Scott Strickland didn't listen to us, and it turned it around in one of the great turnarounds I've ever seen. It was incredible what they've done in Gainesville. So anyway, yes, so good to be with you, Rob. Missed you last couple of weeks. So I'll get you back on the show, maybe even tonight if you're around. We'll see if we go back on the air. And what a couple of days! I'm sure that the National Signing Day's got people going crazy.
Yeah.
When Brendan and I used to do that, it was crazy then.
Oh God,
not quite as crazy now though, because of what's going on with the transfer portal and now the flipping. Flipping is an art form. I'm telling you, it's great. So good to see you, Rob. And
hey, ditto, man. We had fun on the show last night with Brendan and Lauren, and it was. I'll come on your show anytime, and we're going to have one of our sponsors on here in a second, Chris Aiken, just to give a quick update from Web Footed Kennels. But no, Oakley, you know this. These kids, and here's the question. And buddy, let's ask Oakley this. A lot of people are asking, do these kids that are the college football players now, are they going to class? I mean, no one hears about academics anymore, but do you see them in class ever?
You kind of more to see them riding around on their scooters around campus. Never really see them go in the classroom. But
or in their Lamborghinis, one of the two. Who knows?
Yeah. Lamborghinis. Okay, so some of them. I mean, who are some of the freshmen there at Auburn? Do you know Cam Coleman? Do you know Perry Thompson?
I see Perry Thompson a lot. I never see Cam Coleman. Amon Lane Gaines, cornerback. See him decent bit. DeMarcus Riddick.
Yeah. DeMarcus not a shy player, is he?
He's not.
Yeah. I like that confidence. Yeah, I like that. I like that confidence because, I mean, buddy, you sit there and I know you just got in from being on the road, and I'm looking at when we did the preseason, Oakley, on this show, on Buddy's show, which is on this same channel, 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Thursday, we all picked the Gators, and I picked them to go 8-4, and I said, guys, end of the season, they're going to be a better team. But everybody criticized Billy Napier. I'm the first one to admit it. And, buddy, you know what it's like. If you're going to say something to these people, you also have to be willing to say it to their face, don't you?
Well, yeah, for those who care about it. I'm not really sure how relevant we are anymore, Rob, but the bottom line is that everybody, Rob, look, you got a backdoor cover, okay? So don't go like you're saying you picked it to be 8-4 because you like everybody else wavered. I did, Brendan did, we all did. I know what you said. You have been fair in your appraisal of what Billy's done, but nobody saw this coming. I mean, nobody. Yeah. And it's why if you go back in the great comebacks in sports history, Mike Tyson, whoever you want to talk about, the great comebacks in players and seasons, if they finish this off, and let's be clear about one thing, they haven't finished it off yet. They played well, but they haven't finished it. They got to go and win a bowl game now and get to that 8-win. They were 7-5. We said if you 7-5, he ought to be coach of the year. Well, he was 7-5, and I think it's been remarkable what's happened in Gainesville. And I'd like to study it. Maybe the anthropologist one day, Oakley, will tell us what happened there in Gainesville, because I know you probably thought they were dead. We all thought they were dead. But something happened Tennessee week that changed the paradigm of coaching. I'd like to know a lot more about it. I'm sure Billy would too. As we study that, there'll be books written about it. What did they do to go from, worst to first, so to speak, but not quite. So if they finish this off, Rob, and they get up with 8 wins next year with DJ Legway and others on that team, let's not forget Ball. Jaden Ball's a pretty good country running back, and I must give myself credit for identifying that early on.
Yeah.
And even a blind man, even Stevie Wonder, I guess, could see what DJ is doing. But by the way, I did say he was not going to be just a good quarterback. He was going to be a great quarterback based on what little I saw. So Florida's situation is back on track. Maybe Auburn is. A lot of these teams in that 15, 16, 17 spot in the rankings are really starting. Look at South Carolina. South Carolina might be the hottest team in college football and won't make the playoffs. Because Alabama's going to knock them out, probably. So there's a lot going on there. And it's a fun time to be a Bulldog or a Gator or a tiger or whatever. It's fun for things going well. So yes, it's really a good time to be a sports fan.
Well, it is. In Oakley, you heard what Buddy just said. I mean, you're there. And I want to say something real quick. Somebody watching, Clay Smythe, a friend of mine I've known since, God, first or second grade in Memphis, watching the show. And he's got his English class watching this at MUS, Memphis University School in Memphis. It said, please say hello to Mr. Smythe so he can let us out of an English quiz. Hello, Clay Smythe. Glad to see you. I appreciate you watching.
Hello, Clay Smythe. Anything for the boys.
Yeah, that's right. But still give them that damn quiz, man. No easy days. But Oakley, you heard what Buddy Martin was just saying. Throw your 2 cents worth in on here because the young guns, I listen to you and Wilson, my son, and y'all see things differently, but you're pretty much aligned with us. You love the tradition, but you also like Pat McAfee, and tell us why you like Pat McAfee and why, like what Buddy said. Buddy, you are relevant because what you say carries a hell of a lot of weight. So throw it in here real quick, Oak.
Yes, sir. It's more just like the energetic, and because nowadays the bigger things are maybe 10-second clips compared to hour-long podcasts. That's where Instagram with TikTok, all that. So that's why I think Pat McAfee's grown so much.
Yeah.
And why the kids like him so much, because he'll produce those funny clips maybe 3 times a show.
Yeah, and I don't know who's writing those checks or who's putting the money in that account for those checks that they're writing on game day, but wow, that is crazy, is what that is. So I will say this: college football. And Dudley Dawson's on here now, hogville.net, covers the Razorbacks, been a writer for a long time. Dudley, we got Buddy Martin on, longtime sports writer, one of the legends in the business, and one of our interns, Oakley McFerrin, down in Auburn. And we've been talking a lot about what's going on in college football. It's National Signing Day today. And Oakley did confirm that the players at Auburn, he's actually seen some of them in class. They are enrolled. I just thought like Jefferson in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, I thought he just flew in on weekends for the games. So they're actually going to class. Oakley, thank you for telling me. A lot of people wonder.
Hey, there were a few back in my day in the early 80s that didn't make it to class but made it to the field. I think they got that corrected pretty much around here as we went along. But, it's a little interesting week, isn't it? We got confirmation for sure that the head coach will stay the same. He's got a new hip, and apparently looking forward to recruiting.
Well, what do you think's going to happen up there? I mean, everybody's asking, is he going to go to Lake Hamilton, retire? He's not old, but he's getting his hip. Is it a hip replacement?
Yeah, I had that yesterday. We were waiting to set up the press conference for the signees today to when he can be able to sit out and take care of that. So we'll get that later. But, do I think he's going to go to Lake Hamilton and retire? Absolutely. He's got his spot down there. It's a nice little spot, but he's not going to do it for until he's told to do it, I think. This new hip, he's been battling with pain for a while now. I think that's going to give him a new lease on life.
Yeah.
As he advances in his career here, but we'll see. The immediate thing that's happening is, it's been confirmed he's coming back, and you move ahead with National Signing Day today, and then the portal getting crazy as it does now in December.
He's got both a new hip and a new lease on life with his coaching job there. We love him. We hope he makes it true. He deserves better. Obviously, his offense is better. On the thing about the hip, I can tell him about the hip. I had the hip replaced, but just be careful going through certain airports, okay?
Yeah, I had a metal plate put in my head way back after a car wreck, and I used to set them off, and it only happens in Pine Bluff now, where they have the greatest.
My worst was Philadelphia. Mine always went off in Philadelphia. And one more little note, I want to kind of let Dudley take over and Oakley, is that I believe there was a guy, Lawrence Smith told me this story a long time ago, many moons ago, who played at Georgia named Pulpwood Smith.
Andre Pulpwood Smith, absolutely.
Never went to a class.
Never went to a class. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I mean, Georgia's not alone there. There's others too. So,
yeah. Yeah. That's, I mean, when I was in school, there were guys, I was like, I would see them the first week of class. Oakley, you know that. And then they come the last week for the exam. And I had a professor named Dr. George Plaskidas, was an All-American defensive end at Ole Miss in 1976 and an academic All-American. Looked exactly like William Hurt, the actor. And he would tell us the first day of class, radio, TV, and film writing, he said, here's the deal. Don't come in here the last week of class if you're an athlete and beg me for a passing grade so you can be eligible. He goes, let me tell you something. I did it. You can do it. So don't waste my time. And it was, I had several football players in my class, and one of them did that. I'll never forget. He walked in on the day of the final exam, and he was looking around the room, and he just said, get out. You're done. I'm not playing your game. It was pretty wild. It's like, man. And this guy was an all-SEC player. So
I bet you wasn't Tucker Frederickson, I can tell you that.
No, it was not.
Well, I'm not going to tell you I had perfect attendance in college. That would be a lie. And Fridays was that was tough because Thursday was the Dixon Street, night here in Fayetteville. And now, I understand they don't even have to go. They have classes now that's set up, and you don't have to go on Friday. But wish they'd have had that back in the day.
Yeah, it really is. Oakley, you're here. You are again. Young guns. And Dudley, I'm going to start doing some stuff where we get, like Buddy and you and people. Y'all have always been so generous in trying to mentor young writers. You look at a young guy like Oakley, he wants to get into sports management, and he's going to have an opportunity to work with Auburn baseball and get his hands into everything. What advice would you give him if he wants to get into writing, into the media part of it that you've learned in your career, other than improvise, adapt, and overcome, or you will cease to exist?
Well, it's certainly a different landscape than when I got into the business back in 1978, I guess, was when I first got paid for a story. You have to realize, I think, and I'm sure he's going to his classes, but you have to realize that new media is a thing, and it makes money and gets you likes and all that. But still, you got to have the journalistic ethics. You got to learn those in college. You got to stick to them, even when others around you decide that they're going to do clickbait. I found that, I'm not saying that my headlines aren't better now because I know that I've got to get the interest. But I think the most important thing is to have the ethics and don't be a homer. Don't be negative. Just be fair.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Buddy, you've got a little relationship with the greatest Steeler of all, Terry Bradshaw. Oakley goes to how many Steelers games a year typically?
2 to 3, probably around there.
But I was down there. I saw him in Auburn. Audrey and I went over there to see him after a game a couple of weeks ago. And I want Buddy to hear this story. But Dudley, Oakley is knows the NFL, and he played at NBA. We were talking about it before you came on. His high school quarterback, Marcel Reed. And I didn't even think about that.
Hunter Wigman says bye.
Yeah. This guy can flat out fly. What was the best record y'all had in high school? The Gentleman Scholars. And I know, trust me, like Christian Brothers High School where I went, and MUS, I went to PDS. You got an honor code there, but man, it's tough to win. Like Terry Bradshaw looking deep. You need to get a copy of that, Dudley, Oakley, because you love the Steelers.
This is one of the last ones.
Yeah, that would be cool. Tell him about what your experience in the NFL, buddy. You were the sports editor of the Denver Post, so you know John Elway, I'm sure.
Oakley doesn't care about old people like me. He's got his own. Had a great time. This guy is still my friend today. One of the great people. Brendan will tell you. He calls you Uncle Terry. He's just one of the great people in my life, and spent a lot of time with him. He did it differently. Everybody said he's dumb, stupid. He made a lot of money. People call him stupid. And he said had a great career, and I continue to hope that God will bless Terry and his family. He's moved now just to, as far as he can get north in Texas on the line up there and building a new house. But anyway, he's a great guy. Hopefully, if you ever get a chance to meet him, talk to him, Brendan will tell you this. He's one of the great people you ever meet. He's fun to be around, make you laugh and what have you. But anyway, Dudley, when you were going to school, when you were who was at the paper in Arkansas, the famous sports columnist
Orville Henry.
Oh, Henry, yes.
Orville
Yes.
Henry. He was a legend back in the day. I'm not quite as Orville. I guess Orville's probably not with us any longer. I don't know, but I'm not quite as old as he was. But he was a legend there in Arkansas. I don't know if you were around there when guys like Kenny Hatfield was around, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Kenny was a friend of mine from out in Denver at the Air Force Academy. But what is important, Oakley, and I'll leave you with this, let Dudley go ahead and embrace you, tell you about those hogs, is relationships. It's really hard today to make a relationship unless you're like in your class and at your level. It's hard to make a relationship a long-term from. That's what counts. In the end, it's not the trophies, it's not the fame, whatever it may be. It's the relationships, right, Dudley?
Yes, absolutely.
In this business. And that's what's important. The business is shaky right now a little bit, but just hang in there. Stick with guys like that and guys like Rob. They'll guide you, and I'm sure you'll do well. So all the best to you, Oakley. And
yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Hey, this guy's
people
awesome.
People will tell you a lot of stuff that they won't tell everybody else if they trust you, and you have to get that over the years.
Very hard to get trust these days.
Yeah.
Hey, Dudley, good to see you, man. You take care. What's that behind you, by the way?
That is the Boston Mountains. It's just outside. It's just outside the back door.
That's the back deck.
Yeah, I didn't think that was the Rockies. I was looking at it. I spent 17 years out there, but that's beautiful. It really is.
We have a daughter, Camille, that's in Denver now, so I see a lot of Denver and Colorado. So.
My friend Buddy Page texted. They said they're going to take her around the horn off the air next year. He's had a long run there at Denver. We had some great times working together at the Post. Back in the day when they had this thing called newspapers, Oakley.
Yes, I remember those. Yes.
See you guys.
All right, take care, buddy. Hey, you know what's cool? Dudley, we're talking Arkansas. Vince Ferrara is on with us now from the Sports Animal over in Knoxville. Let me say something about one of our sponsors here. Winter Timber Outdoors, Athens, Alabama, just signed on the day after the presidential election. How fortuitous was that? They are located in Athens, Alabama, but growing all over the Southeastern Conference footprint. Oakley, if you go out on Opelika Highway by the Walmarts, as they call it, they broke ground last week on the new Winter Timber Outdoor store, expected to open in June, maybe a little bit earlier. Over 2,000 shotguns, rifles, and handguns in the store, in stock, and they got a staff full of people that are trained and know what they're doing. They got everything for your shooting sports. Duck hunting, dove hunting, quail hunting, turkey hunting, big game hunting. You want to go pop a greater kudu over in the Serengeti? You can do it. They've got all the right people in the right spots. They got the gear. They've got deer stands. They've got the corn. They got everything you need. And they've got, again, a plan to grow throughout the Southeastern Conference footprint. Right now, get that phone out, the QR code, the Winter Timber, Rete Masimara, GPS, buy one, get one free. And they're growing. Let them know you heard about it on Sidelines. And also want to say about Landers Ford, Memphis.com, the #1 Ford dealership in the Mid-South, open Monday through Saturday. Not open on Sundays. Open 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. in the service department, and the sales 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Brad Bellamy, the general manager, joins us on Fridays for Pick'em Friday. Loves his Memphis Tigers and his Alabama Crimson Tide. And guys, Oakley, being a student at Auburn, as you know how it works, because, Vince used to work in Tuscaloosa, Dudley, for a long time. Vince Oakley's dad is an Alabama grad. This is what makes this so much fun. But Landers,
I did want to answer a question you asked me. You asked how many games I lost in high school football. We lost 5.
In your whole career.
5 in our whole career. And we did not do any flag planting because we didn't have big flags like that. They would let you take metal objects out there on the field. back in the day. But we did stomp on a lot of logos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, you do. I mean, and that's part of it. Hey, Landers Ford, remember, ask for Brad Bellamy, the general manager. They are all over the Mid-South. 6 stadiums bear their name. They're the presenting sponsor of the Touchdown Club of Memphis. They are involved. Anything good in the Mid-South, Landers is involved in it. I can assure you of that. Don Kitchens, Kent Ritchie, Brad Bellamy, the general manager. Great people to work with. Get out there now. Let them know you heard about it on SEC Sidelines, because it's right down the street from Hewlett and Dunn. We'll talk about them in just a minute. Vince Ferrara, the sports animal in Knoxville. We've got one of our interns on here, Oakley McFerrin, is down in Auburn, Vince. It is National Signing Day. Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net.
That's a cool name, by the way.
It really is. Vince Ferrara, I love it, the sports animal. Vince, we were watching that Tennessee game over at the third Thanksgiving feast of the week. It was ridiculous. I've never eaten so much sweet potato pie with pralines in it and pecans and deep fried turkey and sauteed turkey, but they were all Tennessee fans. We talked about it from East Tennessee, living in South Carolina and Georgia. They were sweating bullets when Vandy was ahead 14-0. And I told him, I said, Tennessee will show you what happens to Vandy every year in November, what happens when you don't have depth. Color this one in checkerboard, orange and white. Are they in the playoffs? Are they going to make it? I think they are.
Oh, Tennessee, absolutely. It's just a matter of whether they're going to play at home or on the road. And that's what's really upset Tennessee fans is they once again showed up in that 8-9 matchup as the 9 going to Ohio State, the 8. And I tried to warn our listeners, this is exactly what was going to happen. That was the least surprising thing to me out of what came out, that Ohio State would not fall behind Tennessee. They've held Ohio State in high regard all season long. Yes, that was a bad loss at home to Michigan. You know, people bring up the 3 touchdown favorite thing. That's something that we can talk about and discuss, but they're not sitting there saying, well, this team was a 10-point favorite and lost by 4, and this team was a 21-point favorite. They're not getting into all that. So they view Penn State's win better than Tennessee's win over Alabama. They also give them credit for a 1-point loss to the number 1 team in Oregon, whereas Tennessee's best loss, so to speak, is to Georgia. It's amazing that fans are so flabbergasted that there shouldn't even be a discussion between Ohio State and Tennessee. But it's the way that I knew it was going to happen. The biggest thing for Tennessee is hoping for chalk in those 2 big conference championship games, sitting there number 7 in the rankings, number 9 in the seedings. And I don't know about you guys, but I think I know there's a ton of people that don't understand how we are getting to what we see and hear on Tuesday nights with the rankings. I don't think they know the difference. There's plenty of people that don't understand how they get to the seedings versus the rankings and how the whole process works, who gets the top 4s, who moves on to the quarterfinals. There's just a lot of unknown that has not been explained to fans that adds to the angst of them thinking that, everything is in their respective conspiracy theory.
Oakley, jump in here with this, the rankings and the seedings and all like that. Can you make any sense out of what it said? Because Vince just laid out a hell of a case.
Yeah, so how the seedings work?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, so it's the first top 4 conference winners. So this year it'll be, if everyone wins how they're supposed to win, Oregon, Texas. I think Boise State would be 4th. Then SMU would be 3rd. So then Arizona State's at 12th, since they're the lowest ranked. So they'd be going – was it Penn State who's 5? So they'd be going 2 Penn State right now.
Wow. Okay.
Y'all know who 6 is?
Is it?
Yeah, it's Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. So is that Indiana? I think it's who they'd have. Then
Alabama,
Georgia, Alabama versus. Okay, so they'd be going. So Alabama probably. I think I think that's a matchup Alabama wants. They get to go to Notre Dame. I think they'd love that.
All right, Vince, let me throw this at you. Just got someone was saying to me, if Alabama gets in the playoffs, no group of fans will throw a conniption fit more than who? Notre Dame or Miami fans or all of them?
Miami.
Yeah, Miami. I mean, Notre Dame won't be happy because if it stays the way it is now, Alabama would play Notre Dame in their first round matchup, and the winner of that would go to number 3 SMU. So Alabama is going to be favored, and both would be favored be Notre Dame. If they do, then they'd be heavy favorites to win at SMU. And then suddenly here's Bama back in the semifinals. No one would be happy, but Dudley, to your point, Miami is the one that would get slid out.
Yeah, I think I got 3 texts from Miami people yesterday. I got no vote.
Yeah.
I understand y'all are upset, but here at the end of the year, you got to take care of your business, and they didn't take care of their business last year.
Yeah. All right, and here's
Sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
SMU could be really championship game to Clemson, which we can't rule out. And that last spot is going to be between how far do they drop SMU, how much does the committee punish in their conference championship game with these teams that we've talked about. And then who do we think the committee would pick? A 2-loss SMU team who just lost their conference championship game that doesn't have the history they do, or a 3-loss Alabama team that has a much tougher schedule and quality wins. I mean, they're going to take Alabama. To me, Alabama is already in. It's just a matter, does it take Miami's spot now, or does it take SMU's spot?
Totally agree. I love Rick Lashley. Covered him in high school, covered him when he was here. He's been a great young assistant coach, now a great head coach. But even he knows what he's up against. He's building something down there, but it's always going to happen. Is there ever been a time when they told Alabama no? No.
Yeah. Not very often.
Didn't they last year a little bit?
Personally, yeah.
Oh, they got in and lost to Michigan. Yeah. I mean, Vince, you worked in Tuscaloosa for a number of years at Tide 100.9. Alabama at 9-3 and a 2-loss SMU team, they're going to take Alabama.
And I'm sorry, right? If the committee wants to send the message that they want you to schedule difficult games and not schedule easy games just for wins, they need to take the team with a much better strength of schedule. If you're just going to go off of the right column of the record and reward teams just for a better record, everybody's going to schedule down. And so I'm okay with that. And also Alabama's the case for valuing wins versus for the quality of losses. The committee has looked at the quality of losses, for some teams and rewarded them for close games, but then has not punished them for bad losses like a Notre Dame or Alabama has a couple of them, including Oklahoma. So it's just very inconsistent.
Yeah. Oakley, jump in here. What these two guys are saying, this playoff committee. You remember when we were out in Dallas at SEC Media Days? I think I may have I met General Richard Clark, who's the chairman of the College Football Playoff Committee. Sharp guy, lieutenant general in the Air Force when he retired back in May. We've had Mr. Bill Hancock on this show a number of times, the previous chairman. But Oakley, how many teams, I'm going to put you on the spot. How many SEC teams do you think right now deserve bids to be in the playoff?
I think if we're going by top 12 teams, I think only three right now will get in, but top 12 teams, Texas is top 12, Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina should all get in, and Tennessee.
All right.
That's
6. That's 6.
I guess, what do I think and who deserves it? Texas is going to get in. Georgia's going to get in.
Yeah.
Tennessee's going to get in. And Alabama's going to get in. And everybody's going to bitch.
Yeah. Vince?
Yeah, I think it's those four. And look, Ward Manuel, and this is very frustrating the way he explains things. Ward Manuel got everyone in a tizzy last night because he said that anyone that is not playing, that they're not going to change them around because they don't have any more data points. What are you talking about? Do you know what I need to see this dry erase board? I need to explain what a data point is to Ward Manuel, because data point is information. And with the conference championship games, teams' resumes will change. Clemson, if Clemson wins, South Carolina now has a win over the SEC champion. And it impacts everyone's strength of schedule if they're on your schedule or whatever. So, yeah, the data points will change and enhance some and go down for others. What he was trying to say and explain is, if you didn't play, we're not going to move you with over or below teams that also didn't play. Your spot can change, but they're not going to rearrange the order. So Indiana can't just suddenly hop over Tennessee. Tennessee can't hop over Ohio State. South Carolina can't make a move now, and we've kind of seen that in the past, right?
Yeah.
Where somebody's in the conference championship game and then someone doesn't play, and then suddenly their resume becomes 3 or 4 spots a lot better. So I get what they're trying to say, but he didn't explain it very well. And
I believe that's oversharing. I believe that's the term. You don't have to say everything that comes to your mind. It took me a long time to figure that out, but you don't. And I think he dug himself a little hole there.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And watching you were at the Vandy, Tennessee game there I call it, my wife named it the Skinner box, BF Skinner, the way they've reconfigured that stadium. Dudley, Oakley, you've been to a few games over there at Vanderbilt. They've shrunk the stadium to make it nicer. But
also because it's all away fans, so limits the noise.
Yeah, it really, you're right. Vince, what did you see in that game? Vanderbilt they looked like they've just run out of players, but Tennessee, give me a grade real quick, and then I want to bounce around to each one of you on National Signing Date, and we'll pause for a minute. I'm going to try to have one of my sponsors, Chris Aiken from Web Footed Kennels, chime in for a couple of minutes about the dogs and duck hunting and taking care of them, which is very important because I love my dogs. But what did you see in that game out of Nico? About 207 yards a game is where he's kind of maxed out. What's the ceiling for this guy?
He's getting better every week. We have VFL Heath Schuler on. He does a Monday morning quarterback segment with us. He said that was his best game of the year. He had one underthrow on a deep ball that was intercepted. He was fantastic other than that. Hit on his deep balls, had a terrific layered throw over a linebacker for a touchdown to Miles Kitselman at the end of the half. They were down 14-0 and they led at halftime because after Jermon McCoy had his incredible interception on his back in the end zone, that's now the third interception he's had either in the end zone or near it. He had one against Milrow against Alabama.
Yeah.
That changed the game. Vanderbilt did virtually nothing till their fourth quarter garbage time touchdown. So Tennessee controlled that game. Nico, back-to-back games with 4 touchdown passes. They had injuries at wide receiver. They had other guys step up. And then Dylan Sampson became the all-time single-season rushing leader for Tennessee, passing Travis Stevens. So he owns the touchdown record in a single season, now the rushing yardage record, nearly 1,500 yards, and he's one away from the record of 100-yard games in a season. He's one behind Jay Graham. He's at 10, and Jay Graham has 11. So, their offensive line took us another step. Yeah, Vanderbilt's not great. Competition will pick up, but at least they're going in the right direction. And then the defense was pretty stout after that start, which was not their fault, by the way.
Yeah. Well, Dylan Sampson,
credit, dude, that was an incredible interception, but the pictures of that interception were just as good. Big kudos to whoever took those pictures.
Hey, I'll tell you, Dylan Sampson out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, all-time leading rusher. The number 2 guy was Travis Stevens, I think, out of Clarksville, Tennessee, Montgomery County, and Jay Graham out of Kannapolis, North Carolina. I remember all these guys. Because of the Vol Network, which you're a big – Dudley and Oakley, he's a big part of the Vol Network, does baseball. John Wilkerson and you doing Tennessee baseball is a treat. Growing up listening to Jack Buck and Mike Shannon on KMOX, guys, y'all have got to listen to Vince. He is so damn good on the radio. Prepares like a trial attorney going before the SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States. He really is. It's phenomenal. And we had John Wilkerson on the show after Tennessee won the national championship. All right, let's bounce around real quick. Start with Dudley, if you know anything, and then to Oakley, and then back to Vince. And if Chris comes on, we'll pause for a minute, come right back to you. Any updates on national signing date? I know you got Otis Kirk is kind of the guru for recruiting on hogville.net, but you know something as well.
Everything's going as expected. They have had a couple of guys that have mutually agreed to find different places.
Yes.
And the high school class is going to be good. As I've told you throughout the year, they did pretty good outside the state, not as good as inside the state as they should have. Missouri's getting some, Oklahoma's getting some, Kansas State's getting some. So, that could have certainly been better, but you were coming off of 4-8. They're doing about what they expected to do. Their deal, and I think it's true with, most situations these days, the portal is so much bigger than the high school signing day now.
Yeah.
And you've got to get to work, and you better already be to work. There's been a few guys that have asked their transfer now. Obviously, Malachi Singleton, the backup quarterback, don't blame him at all. He's going to go find a place he can start.
Yeah. Oakley, anything new on the Plains? Larry Ellison has not been around Auburn or any. Wherever Larry Ellison is, hail to the victors. Watch out. That's the biggest story in college recruiting right now. But who Larry Ellison is? He's the head of Oracle, worth over $200 billion. It's scary that this guy, is out there. But Oakley, what's going on in Auburn?
So we had a 3-star cornerback, Sharmore Arnex. He flipped. He's from Carrollton, Georgia. He flipped to Florida State earlier this morning.
Ugh.
And then we had, there was some smoke about Anquan Fagans, the Thompson safety, flipping to Bama. He just signed a few minutes ago. And then Zion Grady, who was, he's an in-state guy, committed to Ohio State. And we had a lot of momentum to flip him, but he ended up signing with Ohio State. But besides that, everything's gone.
Jared Smith.
I did see that Florida State's class was 55. Their decommits would have been 52.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, Vince. Tennessee, man, how they doing right now? This flipping stuff is on signing date. Where's Monty Hall from Let's Make a Deal? Behind door number 1 is Alabama. Behind door number 2, Florida. Behind door number 3, Michigan. Wah, 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 wah. It's scary is what it is. It keeps coaches up at night, I guarantee it.
Yeah, and then some of them are having to prepare for the playoffs too, even though there's a little bit of break this week. They moving it up helps them a little bit. But, Tennessee is 10th in the on-3 team rankings. That's 7th in the SEC. That's typical.
Yeah.
So far, 10 4-stars, 9 3-stars. The biggest commitment out of they've had 19 of their 24 already signed. And remember, it's national. It's not what it used to be. It's basically kind of like a financial aid agreement. It's not the typical agreements that they've had in the past with NIL kind of changing things there, but it's still a signature coming in. But the biggest thing for Tennessee is their 1 5-star in this class, David Sanders Jr., the top offensive lineman from Charlotte. He is not sending his papers. There was some worry that maybe he would flip to another school like Ohio State or somewhere else. But in the last few days, Brent Hubbs told us earlier this week on the show that he thinks they've kind of settled that and they should be able to get him to the finish line. There's a couple other guys that were either decommits of other schools or commits that they might flip that they're looking to try to get. But Sanders is the big one, the number 6 overall player in the on-3 industry. They need him. He's the number 1 tackle in the country. The Tennessee's been missing a guy like him since Darnell Wright. So we'll see what happens later today with him.
Yeah. It says Rodney Orr. Is that Chris Aiken or Rodney? Well, not sure. All right. So the signing date, when you lose a kid, to Florida State, that's holy cow. That's you wonder if that wasn't a mutual deal. I mean, that means Naeem Offord out of Parker High School.
Naeem Offord's at 10:30, so an hour and a half. But that should be a good sign to him. But I don't know. We'll see. I think we're in good hands for Naeem Offord, though.
All right, guys. Let me do this. All three of y'all, you cover the game. It's just the interest is incredible. But all this, the portal, you get through with signing date. Rodney, Rodney, do you have some breaking news from Alabama? It's showing. Is that Rodney or is that Chris Aiken? Well, it keeps coming up right. But anyway, but you look at the breaking stories. You're going to have signing date Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then Monday, the coaches get the weekend to try to lick their wounds or celebrate. And then Monday, the portal opens up December 9th to the 28th. And then you got to re-recruit your current team. And then you got to deal with NIL. And then you've got to deal with the portal for 19 days. Can y'all see why some of these coaches are going crazy? I mean, Dudley, with the beautiful Boston Mountains, have we had the first snowfall of the year up there in the Boston Mountains?
Not yet. I'm sure it's coming, though, but we have not yet.
Vince, can you put the Smokies on next time? We'll have the Boston Mountains.
Right. It's ridiculous, the December now. I'm going to have to send Dote's care packages, for this month because it's going to be unreal, especially here where there are going to be some going out and some coming in, and it's going to have to judge it very wisely, or you're going to end up with not enough offensive linemen or not enough cornerbacks or whatever.
Yeah. Rodney Orr is on the phone with us from Gator Insider in Tuscaloosa with some breaking news. And Rodney, go ahead. We had a little trouble with the connection there. It must have been as they say in the country, it must have been a Blue Jay on the line.
Well, I'm not really sure. I hope you guys are doing well. As far as breaking news, I mean, I guess the big news right now is that 5-star quarterback Keelan Russell from Duncanville, Texas, he did follow through and sign with Alabama as expected. There was never really any concern there. Yeah. He's rated the number 2 overall prospect in the country by 247. He's a great player, obviously. He's thrown for nearly 4,000 yards this year, 52 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. And he's led his Duncanville team to back-to-back state championships there. They've got number 3 in sight right now. So this is a really big pickup, obviously, for Kalen DeBoer because he's a DeBoer kind of guy. He fits what DeBoer wants to do. And now, hopefully, as we move forward, Kalen DeBoer can kind of build around not only him, but the other quarterbacks that they have in the system that he wants to run. So that's the big news right now. Of course, Alabama expected to sign, what is going to be a top 2-3 class. They're going to lose some guys. They've lost a couple already, not today, but and I think they're going to lose Ty Haywood. He's a 5-star offensive tackle out of Denton, Texas. That's pretty well known. Of course, like you mentioned earlier, Michigan is now a major NIL player. And they're kind of going the route of Texas A&M a few years ago. You remember when A&M bought that class that was a record-setting class?
Allegedly, remember they denied it.
Get your receipts. Get your receipts.
Yeah. But it happened. Yes. But anyway, with all that said, I think Michigan's kind of taking that route. You mentioned Larry Ellison, and he's hurt some. He's helped Michigan, but he's hurt a lot of other programs down the stretch here in recruiting.
You know what's scary is he's moving to Nashville.
Wow.
Because Oracle's headquarters is moving to Nashville.
Hopefully he doesn't become a Tennessee fan.
No. All we know is his wife loves Michigan's uniform.
That's right. That's right.
That's what
I was just joking.
No. Hey, look, I could see it. I mean, Vince Ferrara, the sports animal in Knoxville's on here with us. Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net. Oakley McFerrin, one of our interns down there in Auburn. And guys, it's a crazy time right now. And Vince, you probably have met Rodney once or twice when you worked in Tuscaloosa.
No, Vince. Well, Vince, how are you?
I'm good. Love me some Rodney Orr, man. Good to
We
see
we
you.
we miss Vince down here, man. He needs to come back to Tuscaloosa.
I appreciate it.
Go get an NIL deal.
I know he's a legend up there already, based on what I hear. So
He is.
Nah, appreciate it. You're the legend, Rodney. Thank you.
Hey guys, let me throw something out here at y'all. And Oakley, you're hearing a lot and you're watching a lot, and a lot of people are saying, Oakley, step in, man. If you want to say something, but Oakley, you're very cerebral. You take in all this stuff. You're younger than we are. You're seeing what's happening in college football. My son Wilson told me about 10 years ago one time, he said, Dad, it ain't the kids today that are the problem, it's the parents. And I'm like, you're right. When I go over to the Sigma Newhouse at Auburn, 715 West Magnolia, I can close my eyes. It's 1985. Y'all listen to the same music we listen to. You like to do the same things we do. Looking and listening to this panel of really smart people on here, excluding me, what would you say to them? Y'all love the college football. You love your school just like we do, don't you? I mean, what's different? Anything?
I mean, we just have a lot of guys on here really passionate about the sport, which we all are, no matter the age. I mean, college football, the interest in it's never going to lose it. The time's changing with all the money being involved.
Yeah.
But I think Wilson's right. It is the parents because they want to capitalize and get as much money off their kid as they can.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the real issue is. But, I mean, if you look at it, NIL's leveled the playing field. You don't see more than 2 top 15 recruits sign with the same team.
Yeah.
So, regardless, money's always been involved. It'll continue to be involved. It's more of it now, but it's leveled the playing field for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Who can disagree or agree with that? I like what he said. I agree.
It's free agency now, and that's it. It's professional sports, and as I've talked a few times, I did kind of like it back in the day when you could go to a sports information director and talk to a kid and not have to talk to his agent, his lawyer, and the sports information director.
Yeah.
That's the whole "you kids get out of my yard" deal, and I'll take care of it these last few years while I'm in the business.
Yeah. All right. Look, we'll it's National Signing Day. Let's do this real quick. Where can people? First off, I'll start with you, Dudley. Where can people follow you and keep up for the Hogs at hogville.net for up-to-the-minute recruiting, flips, surprises, open bar? What's going on? Let them know.
Yeah, hogville.net. Otis is handling all the football recruiting today. I'm going to be on Fearless Friday writing high school state championship previews. Excited about that. I love talking to some of these coaches that have gone from 4-6 to 14-0 now. Yeah, those are the stories. Those are the stories I like to write. They get 5 championship games here in Arkansas this weekend. But Otis will have everything at hogville.net, and he's a warrior. Been there doing it for a long time, and he stays on top of it.
Thank you. And Rodney, how they going to follow you and keep up with your information? Because I know you'll be working harder than a dozen Mennonite farmers.
Yeah, it's real simple. TiderInsider.com. It's only $48 a year. If you're interested as an Alabama fan, it gives you all our premium information. Also, our All Sports Forum. That's our community of Alabama fans there. It's nonstop. I mean, we really have a great community at Tider Insider. And again, it's only $48 a year.
Yeah, and Vince, let them know how they can follow you, because we've got, and then, of course, tonight, folks, on this same channel, Buddy Martin Show, you're going to get the coverage on the Gators. God only knows what they're going to do. They flipped 11 guys in the last 14 days, 4- and 5-star players. So, Vince, up on the hill, checkerboard, orange and white.
Yeah, and one of those includes a Tennessee commit, too, that Florida is trying to flip too. So it's impressive what they're trying to get done. And you can follow me on all the socials, Vince Sports, VINCE Sports, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter /X as well. So on our YouTube channel, Sports Animal 991, you can see wrap-up videos and different other content on there as well. Then podcasts on our website, 991thesportsanimal.com. So lots going on. Playoff, recruiting, all that kind of fun stuff. Hoops off to a great start also. So we'll talk about that before long also.
Yeah, look, next week we're going to really get into it. I mean, the Gators are off to a hell of a start. Tennessee, Arkansas, Auburn, Alabama. I mean, there's really it's just a handoff, you know. And Oakley, I know you're involved in all the social media. Among the young guns out there, what's y'all's preferred method to communicate? X, YouTube, Instagram? Because I know you and Wilson, when it comes to picking games, I'm telling you, this is my son and Oakley, very close, like brothers. Where are you putting out your content? Because I love to study and hear what people are saying, especially if they're very smart up there with their noodle.
Yeah, so I don't have it would be Twitter. I don't have a Twitter page though. So Instagram stories.
Yeah.
It's probably
okay.
where most sports.
All right. Well, look, guys, great show today. We're just getting cranked up. We will get Chris Aiken on. We're going to – it's something worked out. We have ordered Starlink. We ordered it yesterday. It's on the way, and it's going to make the internet better than Ezra. I'm looking forward to it because, guys, this day, National Signing Day used to be that first Wednesday in February. This is crazy. This is a lot of fun. But look, most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. We're the most blessed people in the history of the world. Go out, make yourself stronger. That way you can help other people with the expectation of getting nothing in return. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll be back in the morning to try to make some sense out of all this. Appreciate all the viewers. It's been a lot of fun. Great day. Tomorrow will be even better.
In a perfect world, you'd set a health goal and results would happen overnight. In this world, the real world, it takes time, dedication, and the right support to achieve your best self. The Vitamin Shoppe health enthusiasts are here to make sure you're not wasting a single moment on the wrong supplements. From the highest quality sports nutrition and superfoods to the most sought after trends, you'll find a huge variety of science-backed solutions for every goal. And the people to help guide you along the path to greatness.
Unbelievably, every 2 minutes in our communities, a child is either bought or sold for sex. I am Ari Dickey, board member for the Nashville Anti-Human Trafficking Coalition. Join me and millions of others in our fight against human trafficking and for its victims by helping to educate the most vulnerable among us, our middle and high school students. Go to nhtcoalition.org, become a partner, and help keep our families safe, because none of God's children are for sale.